Hi everyone, it's the Gabulator here. I've got another tutoring video. I did a video on solving systems of equations with two variables using elimination and substitution. Alright, but this time we're going to solve a system of equations with three variables, which basically just means we've got three letters. So we've got three letters we need to solve for. Okay, and in this case we need to solve for x, we need to solve for y, and we need to solve for z. Okay, these are just arbitrary letters. They don't mean anything. They're just placeholders. All right, now just like before in my last video, similar to this, we can solve it using elimination or substitution. I'll do this one with elimination, and then at the end, I will probably just leave it like that. All right, if you guys want a video with substitution, I will do that as well. All right, so we've got three equations, we've got three letters. Now I like elimination, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick two different combinations out of my three equations, all right, because I want to get rid of one letter. And I'm actually going to pick z because z has a negative in it already, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine these two, all right? So I've got x plus y plus z equals 0. And then x plus 2y minus 3z. Now I could go for any letter I wanted. I could get rid of the x's, I could get rid of the y's, I could get rid of the z's. I'm just going for the z's. What's my reasoning? It's already got a negative. I'm just that lazy, okay? You can be lazy in math as long as you do it right, okay? Now I can't just automatically eliminate these two right here because this is a 1z and this is a negative 3z. In order to get them to cancel, they have to be equal opposites. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this top equation by 3. That's going to get me 3x plus 3y plus 3z equals 0. That's the distributive property. 3 times x gets you 3x, 3 times y gets you 3y, 3 times z gets you 3z, and anything times 0 is still 0. So yay for zeros, they're easy. And I'm just going to rewrite my bottom equation because I didn't do anything to it. So I've got x plus 2y minus 3z equals 0. Okay, I've got my line. Doesn't care if it's perfectly straight, even though I've got guidelines. Just add straight down. 3x plus x gives me 4x. 3y plus 2y gives me 5y. And then 3z minus 3z gives me 0. And then 0 plus 0 gives me 0. So bottom line is I've got 4x plus 5y equals 0. Okay? Now if I go back up here, I need to pick another combination. Now I can do the top one and the bottom one, or I can do the middle one and the bottom one. And I'm actually going to do the top one and the bottom one because this has a regular z and this has a 2z. So I can just use the same method and multiply by a negative number. Now, why didn't I pick the middle one and the bottom one? Well, because this has a negative 3z and this has a positive 2z. I'd have to multiply both equations by separate numbers in order to get this to cancel. I'd have to multiply this middle equation by 2 and the bottom equation by 3. And it would still cancel, it's just more multiplication. I'm trying to make this as few steps as possible. Alright, so I'm going to take my equation over here. We've got x plus y plus z equals 0, and 3x plus 4y plus 2z equals negative 1. Okay? Now, in order to get these to cancel, I've got 1z and 2z. I'm going to have to multiply this top one by a negative 2. Why negative? Because both of these are already positive. You got to have one negative and one positive. And I don't want to have to change anything to this bottom one if I don't have to. Alright? Now I've seen someone do this and do the top one by a positive 2 and the bottom one by a negative 1. That works too. That to me seems more confusing with more steps, but if that works for you, go for it. Okay, so we're using distributive property, meaning we're just multiplying everything on this top row here. Negative 2 times x gives us negative 2x. and then negative 2y, and then negative 2z equals 0, because wonderful zero property again. Anything times 0 is still 0. Alright, negative 2 times x gives you negative 2x. Negative 2 times y gives you negative 2y. Negative 2 times z gives you negative 2z. Alright? Woo! That is still going. I have a very precarious setup here. My bad. I might have to cut that out, or maybe I'll just leave it in there. Maybe you guys will find it funny. Okay, we've got 3x plus 4y plus 2z equals negative 1. Okay, we draw our line. Negative 2x plus 3x gives us just x. Negative 2y plus 4y gives us positive 2y. And then negative 2z plus 2z gives us 0. And then 0 minus 1 is just negative 1. So in the end, we've got x plus 2y equals negative 1. Okay? Now we've got two equations. We're down at this point. We've got two equations with no z's in it. Okay? Now we still need to do another elimination to get them to cancel. Alright? So we're going to write it here. 4x plus 5y equals 0. And x plus 2y equals negative 1. Alright? Now which one's easier? 4x and x or 5y and 2y? I'm going to use the x's, because the y's I could do it, but I'd have to multiply them by their opposites. So the top one by negative 2, and then bottom one by 5, or the top one by 2, and the bottom one by negative 5. You know, but I'm just going to deal with the x's, because I only need to multiply once. So I'm going to multiply this bottom one by negative 4. That gets us 4x plus 5y equals 0. Negative 4x plus 2y equals negative 1. You see what I did? I didn't actually do it on purpose. I did it by pure accident. I only distributed to that first term, not everything else. So this is incorrect. See? Even tutors do it too. If you write down all your steps, then you can catch it and go back and fix it. If you didn't write down all your steps, you'd have to start back over from up here. But since I'm writing down my steps, I just caught myself. I'm like, oh, wait, I know I did something wrong. Right there, I can just move from the step back. I only took one step back and not 6 steps back. 4x plus 5y equals 0. And then negative 4x, negative 8y, there we go, and positive 4. That is proper distribution. Okay? Now, we just eliminate. I feel like that's going to fall again. Is there any way I can add more weight to that? There we go. This ends up canceling, and it's just 0. Negative 5y, or positive 5y, my bad, minus 8y gives you negative 3y equals 4. So we've got negative 3y equals 4. We're almost done. We want to get down to what y equals, so we just divide by negative 3. Y equals negative 4/3. Okay? Y equals negative 4/3. We've got one of our answers. Now what? Well, we go back to one of our equations from up here where we've got x and y. Plug in our y to find our x. Okay, I'm going to pick this one because x is already by itself. Okay, so we've got x plus 2 times negative 4/3 equals negative 1. Okay, so we've got x. Now these can't cancel, so I'm going to have to multiply straight across. 4 times negative 2 times negative 4. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. we've got negative 8 over 3 equals negative 1. Okay? Now we're just going to add this fraction to the other side. We've got negative 1 over 1 plus 8 over 3. We can't add them with the way they are right now because they have to have a common denominator. So negative 1 over 1 is going to become negative 3 over 3 plus 8 over 3. Negative 3 plus 8 over 3 is 5 over 3. So x equals 5 over 3. 5/3. Okay, we've got 2 out of 3. Now we go back to one of our original equations and plug these two answers in into here and see what we get for z. All right, so I'm going to go with this first one. We've got x plus y plus z equals 0. Okay, so we've got 5 over 3 plus negative 4 over 3 plus z equals 0. Well, plus and negative is just negative, so it's 5 over 3 minus 4 over 3 plus z equals 0. They have the same denominator, so we can perform our subtraction. 5 minus 4 5 minus 4 is just 1, so it's 1 over 3 plus z equals 0. Subtract that 1/3. So our result is z equals negative 1 over 3. Circle the answer. Also put it up here. We've got negative 1 over 3. This is our answer. Okay, now we're at the end, but it wouldn't hurt to double check. We're going to plug all these numbers into these equations and see if they come out to 0, 0, and negative 1. That's how you check. I'm sorry. Not a great video today. All right, so we've got 5 over 3 minus 4 over 3 minus 1 over 3. That should get us to 0. 5 minus 4 is 1 over 3 minus 1 over 3 equals 0. 1/3 minus 1/3 is 0. 0 equals 0. That first equation, we're good there. Okay, that next equation is x plus 2y minus 3z equals 0. Our x is 5 over 3 plus 2 times negative 4 over 3 minus 3 times negative 1 over 3 equals 0. Well, we've got 5 over 3, okay, and then negative 8 over 3, and then a positive 1, believe it or not, because this 3 and this 3 cancel, and negative is a positive, so we're left with positive 1. 5 minus 8 gives us negative 3 over 3 plus 1. Negative 3 over 3 is just negative 1 plus 1, which is 0. So 0 equals 0 there. We're good there. And we just have this last one to finish. Now, if you'll notice, I've used up most, if not all, of my paper. I'm actually going to use this space over here for this last equation. All right? Got 3x plus 4y plus 2z equals negative 1. We've got 3 times 5 over 3 plus 4 times negative 4 over 3 plus 2 times negative 1 over 3. And all that equals negative 1. I'll write that in a minute. So we've got 5 plus negative 16 over 3 plus negative 2 over 3 equals negative 1. All right, so we've got negative 16 minus 2. That gives us negative 18 over 3. Okay, now negative 18 over 3 is just 6. So we've got 5 minus 6. 5 minus 6 is -1. -1 equals -1, so all 3 equations check out. I know a lot of people get confused when they get answers that are all fractions, but if you'll notice, even though they were all fractions, they all checked out. Okay? So your answers can be fractions as long as they make true statements. The first 2 equations, both of them when plugged in, equal to 0 here and here. And that third equation, which I ran out of room for and did over here, still equaled -1. All right, now I was rushing a little bit through these last steps because I was running out of paper and I'm a little frustrated with my phone falling while I'm trying to record, but this is how you do it. You're going to use a lot of paper and it's going to take up time, but this is how you solve a system of equations with 3 variables. You're using a mix of elimination and substitution. Thanks, guys.